Hi everyone, welcome to another episode on the Work Boss podcast where we share best practices in the workplace and how you can do things differently. Hi, I'm Natasha from the growth marketing team here at Digi-X, and today I'm joined here with Jess from Job Majestic to talk and share some tips and tricks on how you can get the job of your dreams. So let me just bring her on real quick. Okay, hi Jess.
Hi Natasha.
Yep. So today I chose this topic because, with the amount of resources that we have these days to access all kinds of things, anything is truly possible. And if you set your mind to it, you can definitely achieve it. And that can also be applied to that job you've been thinking about for the longest time. So Jess here is actually from Job Majestic. So I just thought that inviting her would be the perfect way to just have everyone to have a better idea of how everything goes. So yeah, I think the first question that we go into is like, when recruiters approach individuals for, let's say, career opportunities, like what kind of mindset should they have and how should they portray themselves during like the first phone session?
All right, so Natasha, thanks for your questions. I think this is pretty good questions as well. And I think when recruiters approach candidates, right, usually there are two scenarios. One is a cold approach. So when we approach the candidates, basically is these candidates referred by their peers or their ex-supervisors. That's why we just call them out. So this is actually a cold approach. The other way around is like the candidates themselves came to us themselves. Like they came to knock our doors, say that they are looking out. So that's why we call them up. So however it is, I think whenever these candidates receive call from recruiters, right, the attitudes of being open-minded is very, very important.
Right.
Because I think every one of us would always like to know about our values, our values in job market, right? You and me also would like to know actually how much salary that we deserve in our markets, things like that. So I think open-mindedness is very, very important. So when you receive the call from recruiters, whenever they ask you, are you planning to look out or what? Even though the answer is no as well, but I think being open-minded is very important. You could always say yes first, yes first, and then slowly know about the opportunities. Who knows that the opportunities is far better than whatever you're getting right now, right? And think second thing is being polite, humble is very important because I understand sometimes the candidates might be very senior candidates or they might be very high positions level kind of candidates, but I think being humble is extremely important because you will never know when you would need help from the recruiters.
Definitely. And also, I do realize that a lot of recruiters also choose LinkedIn as a channel to introduce themselves and also reach out to candidates. So I think having the right etiquette when they talk to recruiters is also very important, and it's just a form of morale also as the way.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I did actually encounter some of the candidates could be very, very cold candidates. They were just they didn't respond to your messages, or the way that they respond to you could be quite kind of arrogance. But if you ask my advice, right, the best way is like try to be humble and try to be humble is the really, really best ways to approach recruiters. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. So what do you think it means to be a standout candidate though, and why do you think so in that way?
Standout candidates. I think one of the important traits for a standout candidates that you mentioned for me, I think is good soft skills, good communication skills. I think they're able to sell themselves right. That's why I would actually say these candidates is very outstanding. Yeah, because if you imagine as a recruiter like us, right, we have to screen like how many candidates per day. So those candidates that actually would impress us is those candidates that know how to sell themselves. If you think from the perspective of a recruiters, right, like our job is to recommend best of the best candidates to our clients, right? If you think the candidates is good, then only we would actually recommend or present to our clients. So to be a very outstanding candidate, you might know how to sell yourself right. I always try to connect this with the elevator pitch. So the candidates who knows how to showcase their personality and skill set in about just like maybe 5 minutes, I think it's extremely awesome. Yeah. So you know how to present yourselves. That's very, very important.
Yeah. Do you think it has been a little bit different now that a lot of interview process is shifted from in person to everything is on the phone from now on? Do you think people have more pressure on them to kind of impress even further since you're only based on like what you see virtually instead of physical?
I think so. I think actually it's quite challenging nowadays because everything has to be done online, like what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
So that's why the chemistry part is extremely hard to establish through online session like this. So that's why I think being enthusiastic and your energy, your voice, your tones is very important to impress the person. Okay, for example, like what we have to do every day, right, as a recruiters, we do a lot of phone screening before we
Okay.
actually meet up with the candidates. Yeah, the first thing is we always do it is phone screening. So
Mm.
if you want to impress the recruiter, right, during the phone session, I think tone and the way you talk, it's extremely important. Because can you imagine if let's say we call up a candidate, right? If let's say the candidate sounds very, sleepy like that, the tone is very monotone like that, and the conversation basically is very hard to carry on. So
Yeah.
basically for me the tone is very, very important. So there are also ways to impress the candidates even though this is not a face-to-face sessions. So that's why we have to learn how to do it in that way. First of all, it's like you have to ensure the surrounding areas is quiet, no distractions. Yeah,
Mm.
whenever you are on call with the recruiters, because this is so important call. So that's why you have to ensure the environment is good for you to immerse yourself in the conversation. I think that's very important. Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also another thing that I would like to know is, a lot of people assume that with more education means a higher pay, which is definitely not the case nowadays. So, what are your thoughts on furthering your education in order to get a higher paying corporate job in a lot of people's eyes?
It actually depends on what kind of companies that you are currently working in.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, for those MNC companies, or we call very big companies, right, established companies,
Mm.
education level, no doubt, is very important,
Mm.
especially if you want to climb a ladder up.
Right.
So yeah, then you have to ask yourself, if let's say the position right now that you're working in, it highly relies on education level and it is a barrier for you, then
Mm.
just go ahead. Then just go ahead and just go to get a degree or a master whenever you feel it's
Mm.
very important for you to climb a ladder up. Because
Yeah.
nowadays, I think it should not be any excuses anymore because online learning is so convenient.
Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
convenient, and we can simply register online and pursue our degree or MBA if whenever you feel it's necessary.
Mm.
And furthermore, I think education level is far beyond just to get a high pay job. I think
Mhm.
education is like anyway, it's like a self actualization process. It
Right.
somehow will make you a better person. And
Mm.
for me, I think further educations, one of the perk is to build resources.
Mm.
Honestly speaking, when I recall back my resources right now, right, a lot of them actually built through my college and university time.
Oh.
So education itself, yeah, yeah. So education itself, I don't see it's only a tool for you to get a higher pay job. It's actually far beyond that. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure though. And also it's a
Yeah,
form of networking also because you're meeting so many different people.
exactly. Hmm.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Because also, um, especially when you put in different, let's say, group assignments and stuff like that, you get to mingle with more people. And I think nowadays also a lot of people tend to create like their own side hustles or small businesses even before they graduated. So you can actually be a part of their learning process or even network with them. So next time you can actually build a partnership with them or collaboration.
Exactly. I think throughout the process, like you mentioned, right, whenever you have to do assignments together with your friends, right? It's actually somehow it could sharpen your other skill sets, your soft skills as well. So you can take this as a learning process to
Mm.
build up your soft skills. And sometimes I think education is like a form of knowledge. Whatever you have learned, right, nobody can take away from you. So this is forever actually rooted in your mind. So for me, I quite encourage people to pursue their studies if they feel like they want to do it. Mm. And then I think Yeah, for me, it's like education is super important. But at the end of the day, right, if you want to get high pay jobs, right, education level is only one of the little factors about that. Ultimately, your capability counts. Your capability matters.
Mm.
So there are a lot of factors that you still need to consider when it comes to getting a higher pay job.
Yeah, especially there's a lot of like for now we have the podcast going on, but there's also a lot of things like seminars and webinars that are done virtually nowadays, which you
Yeah.
can actually learn a lot from. So I don't think education should be the only form of self-learning from now on. Like there's so many resources out there that's just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, and the recent Clubhouse thing is a hit. It's a hit. Yeah, it's a lot of people's like joining Clubhouse because it's a very good forms to get new knowledge as well. So for me, like what you say, self-learning ability is even more important when it comes to today's society. It's because
Mm.
technology and information is very new every day and is changing every day. So we have to be very adaptive these days in order for us to stay competitive in the work market.
Yeah, for sure though. But for an
Mm,
advice though, you would give to someone who would like to jump to a different industry than what they are currently in. So it could be, let's say they're an auditor right now, but they want to go to a business development role,
mm,
and they think that it seems very discouraging to them because it seems a bit impossible. Because most people, they would base off your past experience and they will see whether you're applicable to the job. So what would you advise someone who wants to change a job in that sense?
Okay, Natasha, you know what? Among all the questions, right, I feel this question is my favorite and preferred questions among all these questions that you asked me. Because these questions, I think, it's very, very common nowadays. Ever since last year, ever
Okay.
since this pandemic happened, because I think since last year, right, I personally received quite a lot of applicants' resumes from my friends or from my friends' friends. So, and a lot of them actually asking me the question like you just asked me, the same thing.
Yeah.
Because this pandemic actually makes a lot of people started to rethink about their career path. So they want to switch their career path, but they couldn't, right? So for me, I think this is actually quite it could be a very hard decision, especially for those who have been working so many years in the industry. But for me is whenever you feel like you want to switch to a different industry, let's ask yourself few questions. Okay, maybe you can ask yourself the first question is can your can you accept the salary is lower than what you're getting? Yeah,
Right.
because when you jump to a new industry, right, you might not possess the same knowledge, so that you might also have the chances that you are getting lower pay that you are getting. So maybe you can ask yourself, can you accept that?
Mm.
Second question is if your current savings could be sustainable for maybe let's say half year or 1 year if let's say you have to switch to another industry. Because when you switch to another industry, right, as I just mentioned, you might not able to earn as much as you used to be. So you have to ask yourself, is your current savings sustainable for that?
Right.
And the third question, I think, is very important questions to ask yourself is the new industry that you are planning to switch is a good industry, or do you think that is a industry that with good prospects in the future? Because you have to ask yourself your effort and time, is that worth to put in this new industry? So you have to be very well planned about this decision. You have to
Yeah.
ask, is this industry worth for you to switch it? Yeah, so these three questions basically I think is very important when you make up your mind to jump to another new industry. Okay, let's say these three questions the answers is yes. Okay, you already made your decision to jump to this new industry. So what are
Yeah.
you going to do next is perhaps you could consider about these strategies, because that's how I always advise my candidates. First is you could start trying to build some good connections or networks with different recruiters in through LinkedIn maybe, because I think LinkedIn is a very good way to build your connections with different recruiters. Or you can also use LinkedIn as a tool to establish network to the industries that you want to join. Okay, the
Right.
same industry players. Yeah, you can actually start connecting with these same industry players. Second is you could actually start to build your portfolios. Okay. For example, if you are currently a salesperson, but you want to jump to you're currently a graphic design person. You want to try a new industry. Let's say you want to try to do sales, but you don't have sales experience. Perhaps you could start using some time to build your portfolio and to prepare yourself to jump into this industry. And the third thing I think is very important is start saving money. Start saving money, because I would always call this money as a career emergency fund, because we don't know what will happen. We don't know what will happen that we suddenly jump to another new industry. So at least when you have certain amount of money, then it could actually help you to have peace of mind to focus on the new industry that you are going to tap in. So for me, I think the financial planning is also one of the important factors. Yeah, basically these are the ways to help somebody to prepare themselves whenever they plan to jump to another new industry.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned, because I actually never really thought about the financial aspect of it. I always just think that the skills is what you have to really think about first. But yeah, if you mentioned it, I think would say financial is also a big thing, because especially when you get into a new industry, people might not know that what you can really bring to the table yet. So that's why they don't give you that much of a higher pay that you expected. So yeah.
Exactly. I think financial factor is a very important factor if you look into that, because you see, I believe you should have friends that tell you that they are not happy with their jobs, but they have been telling you they are not happy with their jobs, right? They're still in the company. I believe you will have some friends or friends experience such things. So if you think of the factors behind, right, what actually makes them keep staying in the company even though they are not happy, even though they are already complained so many times. So a lot of times the factor behind that might be the financial factor. Probably because they're worried whenever they jump to another industry, they might not getting the same pay.
That's true.
Or maybe so I think these money issues actually hold a lot of people back. In order for you to, let's say, to switch the turbo, as what you said, right? Save an emergency fund, save a career fund, I said, so that you can actually do whatever with peace of mind, and you can actually stay committed and focused in the industry.
Yeah, that's definitely true though. And I think that's kind of all we have for the questions. That is all for the episode today. So if you guys are interested to catch more of us and all the things we share about being a boss at work, definitely keep a lookout for the next episode. And once again, thank you so much, Jess, for coming on the Work Boss podcast with me today.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It's a pleasant session sharing all these insights with you. I hope that these sharing sessions could be sort of inspiration to some of you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye.
Bye. See you.